Yo, what is up, you lot? My name is SIF. So another video and another collab, except this time it's a brand new guest over on the YouTubes that you may or may have not tuned into their video. You probably have tuned into their video. It is Smack, aka SmacknPie. Smack, why don't you introduce yourself and your channel?
Hello, what's up peeps? It's your boy SmacknPie here. I don't know what you guys, call your audience or community. I'm here called SmacknPie. I don't know, Sif, what you say to your audience, but your boy SmacknPie, if you're a Walking Dead fan, you probably heard of me in the community on Reddit or whatever, but it's great to be on this channel, Sif. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
Wow, thank you very much for even spending the time to make a collab with me. So today we're going to be talking about how the episode is going to start, and what episode we're going to be talking about is episode 4, of course. So when we say this, we're not referring to a particular duration segment of the episode. We're mainly just going to be talking about the introductory sequence of the episode. So of course, in certain episodes the introduction segment could last about 10 minutes. In other episodes the introductory segment could last about 30 minutes. It just depends on the episode. So how will episode 4 will start? These thoughts are going to be purely mine and Smack's, and if you agree with them or disagree with any of them, please keep the discussion alive in the comments by obviously chatting and writing down your opinions and thoughts. So my main point is going to be that the episode is going to start with a rendezvous point, where of course after the explosion of the bomb, some of the boarding school kids will be tossed over the boat, and then some of course will be still on the boat and have to survive and obviously leave before this ship obviously sinks or whatever is going to happen. Eventually I can see a rendezvous point scenario where all the kids who survived wait by the shores for any of their friends. So of course this is going to be a very similar scenario to the season 2 episode 4 sequence, in which of course after we escape Carver's camp, we all meet up by this area called Parker's Run, if I remember correctly. And of course we have Kenny, who was already there. We obviously had Mike, Bonnie, etc. And of course we were just waiting for any of the last survivors. So of course this is going to be the most likely scenario in my opinion in how the episode is going to start. In terms of death and casualties, I don't think Omar has a very high possibility of surviving. We do need to kind of start getting rid of these boarding school kids, and it's not going to be a very surprising or a big shock if we do get rid of one of the smaller secondary reoccurring characters. What do you think about this, Smack?
It's an interesting thing, to say the least, that starting episode 4, because to start off, I'm gonna say it right here, because this is the final season. This is the final episode. After that, this is the end of Clementine's story. All the people here, this is the end. So starting the episode 4 is definitely gonna be crucial. So I can definitely see that happening. But I'm gonna go with, you said the point of meeting. I'm gonna say it's gonna be like cuts in different parts. So all the kids are gonna be split up in different areas, and we're gonna have scenes cut into separate stuff. So like meeting Violet or Minerva, let's say, or the other kids, the other school kids. So I'm gonna have to go a little bit opposite to what you're saying, but I can definitely see that happening.
No, I totally agree with you. I can obviously see that happening as well. What would be interesting to see if during, say, the first 30 minutes, we actually meet a couple characters at the very beginning, and of course eventually start meeting some of the other familiar faces, maybe on the way back to the boarding school or etc. So speaking of the boarding school, do you think it's going to be very likely with the whole idea of us going back to the boarding school right after the explosion of the ship and of course all the mess that we did in the Delta? Do you think it's very likely that we return back straight to the boarding school, or do you think something in between the ship accident and of course the boarding school will happen?
This was actually one of my solid theories. This is one of my solid theories that I actually go with personally, because in my head I actually see James, if you save him in the ending of episode 3, James and Minerva going back to the boarding school. And also at the same time we have other kids probably injured, but I'm not gonna say like all of them died through the explosion. You could say like some of deaths here and there, but the main characters, they're gonna get back to the boarding school. Let's say James or Minerva or Violet and Lewis and Asim, and we all know Billy, Ruby, and the other kids that were part of the plan before we got into the ship. They were at the ground. They didn't went to the ship, right? So I can definitely see that happening, and it's one of my beliefs for episode 4 that we're definitely gonna go back to the boarding school. Now how is that gonna get us to the ending? That's a big question, but you know, if you just ask me for the boarding school, so that's my take on that.
Definitely, I agree with that. It'd be interesting because, of course, the boarding school, I think I speak for everyone when we say it's had a bigger role than any of us thought. I thought we were going to have to abandon it by the first or second episode. But no, clearly the themes of home is very strong in this season. And of course,
Yes.
we can see that, of course, happening with the whole boarding school being a very consistent theme in the and not even just the episode, the season in general. So the last question I have to ask you, what do you think the whole James is dead / Lily is dead is going to play a part in this episode, especially in the beginning part of the episode? Do you think we're going to meet them in the beginning, or what's going to happen? Because they did say they want to make sure the determinate characters are taken care of better than previous, so I don't see them just dying straight away, like drowning on the way back or something like that. So any ideas?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We made a video on James specifically a couple of days ago in which I said that James at this point is kind of like, his role is not that much importance from episode 4. He was important in episode 2, he was important in episode 3, but after all of this, I think we got our main point. We killed Lily if James is alive. We killed Lily and that's it. We don't need James after this. So his role, I specifically kept on saying that his role is going to be really important in terms of how they're going to go with, but at the same time he's not going to give that much to the story, the ongoing plot, except there's only one thing that can go very interesting, that could change the dynamic for the episode 4, and that is his relationship with AJ. You see, from the beginning he's been that kind of guy to say that you gotta take care of AJ. He's gonna turn into one of those things, you know, something inside of him is just gonna go and he's gonna change and all that. I think that is gonna play a bigger role if James make it to the boarding school, survive with us alongside other kids. Maybe, and this is a hot take, but maybe James versus Clementine and AJ getting in between, you know, a kind of fight up. Why you ask that? You know, why you might be thinking like, wow, how is that? That makes absolutely no sense, because in James' head, he's gonna be like, well, Clementine told AJ to shoot Lily, and that's violent, and she's not a good mother or influence to AJ, so I might have to take AJ away from Clementine forcefully. So maybe that kind of maybe start something interesting, and maybe we get the choice of killing him, maybe. And same goes for Lily, but in a different way. So that's my take on James and Lily. But for Lily, I don't see anything from now apart from Minerva killing Lily, because she's brainwashed, and Minerva killing Lily when they're, you know, escaping out of the boat or whatever, that would do the same as James and AJ relationship, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That's some very good points that I can definitely see some sort of scenario like that happening, and it kind of just brings me some season 1 flashbacks between Lee and Vernon, when obviously he offered to take Clementine away. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, of course, do all that good stuff. Please check out SmacknPie, or just Smack in general. He's got some great videos. We actually made a collab on his channel where we talk about Minerva and Violet's role. So for all these Violet fans and the Minerva fans, it's going to be a very spicy, juicy video for you guys to watch. Any final thoughts, Matt?
Exactly. Oh man, it was fantastic to be here. You know, say whatever you want about Telltale Games. This community has been so amazing, and it's the reason that you and I are here talking about it, and they did so good with the final season writing that we're here talking about it and thinking of all the potential plot twist and whatever. So I think props to Skybound for taking over the Dead Project. Get it? The Walking Dead Project. I'll stop.
Boy, if you don't
I couldn't do their dirty to Telltale, and props to, you know, the writing team specifically, and thank you for having me here, and hopefully we'll do some future collabs. I don't know.
No worries, my pleasure. It would be great to see you once again on the channel. Well, of course, that is it for me, and that is it from Smack. Let's leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and in a bit.